Welcome, everybody. We have with us Deborah Barros from Alabama. She's running for Senate
Huntsville.
in District 7 up
District
in Huntsville,
7.
in the Huntsville area.
In Huntsville, Meridianville, Moores Mill, yes.
Yeah, well, welcome to the show. And could you explain to everybody, to the viewers, exactly where your district is and what the population is made up of in your area?
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, but District 7 covers parts of Meridianville, Moores Mill, Hazel Green, and Redstone Arsenal. And I say parts even with Huntsville because the last redistricting they did, they gerrymandered my district very hard. And so I've had people to go vote for me in the primary and were upset because they didn't know that their addresses had been shifted over to the lines into another district. So that's a challenge in dealing with gerrymandering, but we've met that challenge, and I have to always be creative in how to get voter engagement. And so that's what my district pretty much covers. Most of Huntsville, although they took some of my areas out, parts of Meridianville, parts of Moores Mill, parts of Hazel Green, and the Redstone Arsenal. So that's where I am. Sure.
So that's a pretty a hard area, hard little district to get around in. It's not very small. It's kind of a big district, and so you've got to do some traveling.
Yes, I have before the primary, active voters, Democratic voters, active Democratic voters. I had a little over 93,000. After the what they call it, the runoff, it dropped because some people may have moved. Some got shifted into other districts, and then all across this country they're purging the voters on the not ballots, but that are
on the voter
that are supposed to be engaged, right? So now I have more than 93,000, but those were the ones that were active in voting. And so my goal is to do what a lot of candidates are not doing, find out why the other ones are not active and try to get them to come back over to being active, engaged voters. And so this is a district that's red. It's always been red. I set history, not just as a woman, but as a minority woman, and I need about 50,000 votes to win, okay? So the challenge is getting those that are registered out to vote, getting those that are not registered and out to vote. And we are about, I'd say, 55% Republican, close to 60% Republican area. But we can win this if our Democratic voters understand they should vote like, what did they say? Vote like this is your life, because it is. Your life does depend on this, and I need the apathy to leave, and I need the people to come out. So whenever I'm out there talking, I talk to my Democrats and my independents, and now I make sure the words I use, that I talk to the moderates, to those Republicans that are, not happy right now, going back and forth. And I try to let them know that I am the voice of the people. And when they hear me speak, everybody sees my passion, because I don't know what else to do to ensure that these people understand. You finally will have a voice and real representation in me, but I need you to have that faith in me to give me that chance to do it, because I'm majority Republican.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're doing it sounds like you're doing a really good job. You're doing what you have to do. And I know one of the things that you're doing when you're going around and you're talking about the things that really matter to you. One of the things that matters to you, and no doubt to the people of your district, is our education system. So can you talk about what your plans are and how, what you're planning to do about your education system right there in your district and in your state?
Well, one of the things, we have a young lady, a millennial, and she's trying to make history, Jessica Fortune Barker, who's running for the State Board District 8. And she's just a fireball. And one of the things that I would do is work along with the state board in addressing certain issues. We should not have failing schools. It's not that the kids is failing, it's the system is failing. We should not be talking about giving teachers guns. They don't want that. We need to figure out a better strategy in making the schools safe. And I have a plan for that in things that we could do that doesn't look like you're locked down, but it does give that extra security. We need to get people like Betty DeVos out. I recently found out that when we have these types of elections that your president has appointed over the education system, and some of her millionaire friends are funneling money into the ones that they want to see win. But what they don't understand is they want to use Alabama as a test to say what would happen if they take these monies and funnel it into the charter schools. Now, every child's parent won't be able to get them into private schools. And I came through a private school, so I understand it. But on the other hand, my son graduated from a public school. So I was one of those parents that know both sides. And to take our tax dollars that are designed for public education and put it into private schools is not okay. They need to keep their hands out of Alabama, take their monies back, leave our elections, let us figure this thing out. So I would definitely work with the state board as well as with our legislator to address this. When you are paying taxes and here's what a lot of people in Alabama don't know, that let's say you owe the IRS, not the IRS, the state taxes, you owe $5,000 to the state. The way this Accountability Act is set up, which I don't support, that's one of the things I do is try to help get rid of it. I'd work side by side with Jessica on that one. But what I could take, if I owed $5,000 to the state, I could take that $5,000, make it a donation to a charter private school, and guess what? What I owed the state is wiped out. So that means that $5,000 that could take care of supplies for the teachers or something, roads, whatever, Medicaid, whatever they could put that $5,000 to, it doesn't go. So guess what? Citizens of Alabama, your tax-paying citizens, suffer behind this Accountability Act. So I would want to work side by side to address that, get rid of it, address safety. And I am very much a supporter of our teachers. And I'm tired that every time they get a raise, then they raise their insurance. So the teachers never see the little itty bitty raise they got in the first place in their paychecks. So, and then I'm with some of the other candidates, more counselors, some social workers in the schools, because we have a lot of issues that the teachers cannot deal with. And we have a lot of kids now going to school that are angry. We need more social workers, more counselors, and then finally I would make a restorative justice program in our schools. And with that, to create atmospheres to succeed as opposed to knocking the kids down.
And that really makes sense. It's, because our children and our schools, they seem to be one of the things that the people on the opposite side of the aisle think that they can just pull money away. And it's because I think they have this certain, image of the working and the middle classes, the people that can't afford to put their kids into a better school or into a private school. I shouldn't even be a better school. It should, because
Private.
there is enough money to make
I believe we can make our schools better. That's right. That's right. And you know, they have the STEM program, which is wonderful. But as Jessica would say, every child coming out isn't of the mindset to do math or go to college or whatever. We can make our schools better. We really can, if we all come together and come up with a plan. And it's not going to happen overnight, and we understand that. But the people want to know that their kids got good education, and when they go to school, they're safe. When my son is grown and married, gave me a wonderful, gorgeous grandson, he and his wife. But when he was little and going to school, it never crossed my mind that I should be concerned about his safety. And for years it hasn't, but we're in a world now, when you send your kids to school, you need to worry about their safety. So I believe that together, if we work together, we can have better schools, because our kids is what we leave our legacy to. You know, we got to leave this world to them. We need to make it as best as we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then when they get out of school, we have to think about what we're doing and preparing them for life, for their jobs, for what's going on next. So let's turn and talk about that. Let's talk about the jobs and the economy, and what, again, where your district stands and your state, and what is your jobs plan for your district and for your economy?
First of all, for my district and the whole state, we have these big box companies. You know, that's like the Walmarts, the CVSs, and the Targets. They come into our state and they don't pay state taxes. Now, I do, the workers do, the people that are buying, we pay state taxes. So then I say, earn it. And I've always been a proponent. Hire, train. When you come here, like we have a Toyota, they're building. I say, if it takes you a year or two to build, what I need you to do is take some of these people out of the housing developments, take our post-release nonviolent offenders, and our high functioning autistic adults, because Alabama has the highest rate in autism, but you have some that are high functioning. Train them to do all of these groups, to do specific jobs, so when you're open, you can hire them. There is no reason why you would bring in 50 to 80% of your workers, and then the rest, the 20 to 30, you hire of ours, but you're coming in and you're not paying taxes. I say, make them earn it. We want the companies here, but make them earn it and give them a percentage of our people that we need them to hire. Now, that right there, you put money in people's pockets. What do they do with it? They spend it. So then that brings me to another point. I'm a proponent of not just raising the minimum wage, because you could raise it to $10 and someone's working 40 hours with a family of 4. Guess what happens? After taxes and insurance, it's only 200 and something. I say raise it to a livable wage, which I say $15.50. How realistic is that? I don't know. But you give parents pride to be able to take care of their kids, take them out to eat, buy them a Halloween costume, get them a couple of gifts for Christmas, and they got insurance. You give them pride. Now they see that the American dream is not a dream, but it is a reality. Money's in their pocket. It goes into the economy, because most people, you put money in your pocket, it burns. So now, which brings me to the last part. Take taxes off of groceries. I've never lived in a state where we have to pay taxes on groceries. People on food stamps don't. It works. Take the taxes off the groceries. Now, when you go out and you spend 100, you know that you got to spend 120 because of taxes. You take it off. I got extra money. Guess what's going to happen? It goes into the economy. So I just think that we need to take care of our families, how they eat, when they eat, what they eat. They'll buy more quality foods. We give them better jobs. We train them. And now you've moved them slowly off of the state system. To me, it's just called being fiscally responsible, because now you're moving them out of the system into an economy that they can live and not have to have housing and food stamps and all that. Now you got more people proud. Now your economy builds. Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely does. And, you know, I like to think of that as we're trickling up instead of trickling down.
Trickling down. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Absolutely. And it does. And that sounds like you've given that a lot of thought. And, you know, and I think that those are things that really may be, you know, what we need, not just in your district, but across this country. So I really applaud that. I'm going to turn to our viewers for just a moment, and addressing all of you viewers out there to be the first to see new interviews like this one. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, and subscribe to my YouTube and Patreon channels for exclusive content. And now we're going to go back to Deborah and ask Deborah, for just a moment, if you could speak about veterans and veteran policy in the district.
Veterans. I am passionate about all of my issues. I have a dear friend who passed. They canceled his colonoscopy 3 times. Okay. And every time he got to go do it, they said they were so crowded, backed up, so they canceled it. And he ended up passing out, went to the hospital, and they found that he had a tear in his colon. That tear became gangrene. He never came out the hospital. That broke my heart. When I went to see him in the hospital, I knew then he wasn't going to make it. Then I have my uncle, who was a veteran. It was some years ago, water and the dirt, everything was contaminated, and they were supposed to, Fort Lejeune, that's what it was, keep an eye. My uncle was in the Senate. He was an attorney. He and I were like 3 months apart. We looked a lot. When we were little, they used to call us twins. I loved Ricky with all my heart. And not this January, but the January prior, we had to bury my uncle, because when I decided I was going to run, he was going to help me. He gave like a 15-point plan on how to run a campaign, all of this. And before he could finish, he kept complaining that for 2 years, the VA hospital was treating him for GERD. So another uncle, because they were in Massachusetts down on the Cape, he went and said, I said, Rick, that don't sound right. 2 years. Took him, then found out to a private doctor, found out, in fact, he had a tumor in his stomach. And they went and they worked with him. They shrunk it. And then he and his wife were over on Broadway watching my cousin perform. They went into New York. And he had been complaining for months about his, I think it may have been the right eye, okay? It may have been the right eye. They were complaining about that. And they kept telling him, it was the chemo, whatever. Well, right. When he collapsed and he got taken to a main hospital, they found a tumor in the back of that eye. They sent him home. My uncle died. He should not, as a veteran. And then with policy, to this day, my aunt and his kids have got no money because they said he was overweight. He was only like 30 pounds overweight. So they said, we can't prove that this came from Camp Lejeune. And to this day, they neglected them, the family. We have got to do better than this. We need to take care of our veterans. In this area, I went out with a guy who was a veteran, And I went to homeless camps that I drive by every day, and you don't know back there's a homeless camp. And most of those homeless people are veterans. I'm just angry with the whole VA system. We send them over there and they come back, they got to look for jobs, they got ADHD, they need help. They need to get in like they're supposed to, get the help they need, instead of having these second-rate doctors. I'm so sick and tired how we take care of our veterans and our seniors, not just in this state, but in this country. Now, I'm over here, part of my district is the Redstone Arsenal, which is the base that encompasses all of the various militaries. And so I talk to them a lot, and I get that firsthand on some of the things that they need, that they should not have to fight for, because they protected this country. Many died protecting this country. Why are our veterans treated as second-rate citizens?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I know you hear that, Pat.
No, I so concur with all of that. You know, I'm a veteran myself. My spouse is a veteran, and you know, the thing is that when you're seeing the underfunding for the VA and underfunding in states for the state veterans programs, that's what we need to see end, is just this underfunding. And so I really appreciate the things that you were just saying.
I'm that passionate about all of the issues that I am speaking out against. You know, that's why I tell the people, my voice is your voice. No, my story is your story. Your story is my story. I'm the candidate for the family, and I believe that your voice and your vote is your power. This is why when we don't vote, we end up in a country and a state that we're in. And I need all of the people in my district to vote so that I can have a voice in Montgomery and not be mamby-pamby like a lot of these other politicians, or scared to speak up. I tell people I have a mouth, as you can see, and I know how to use it, but I need that chance to use it. All of us that are running, we are finally, after years of not doing it, we are finally picking up the Democratic message. At least here in Alabama, we together on point. And if we can flip this state blue, there's a lot that we can do. I don't just say what needs to happen without thinking of the fiscal side. I come up with ideas of, okay, we can do this, do that. I don't just run my mouth. I try to back it up with research and with how can we get money to do it. But we need a chance.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, watching as some of the forgotten candidates that we see across the country, and you know, we just need to get some motivation and help to motivate people and help to create the change. You know, the blue wave doesn't just happen by itself. It happens because people like you are out there, you know, running and being the wave.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And so I would like to ask you at this point, because we're right at the end, to go ahead and please address your constituents for a moment and make sure that they have a contact so that they will be able to reach you in your campaign and maybe help you as volunteers and help fund your campaign.
Yes. For my constituents, I am Deborah Barros. I am your Democratic nominee for the Alabama State Senate District 7. If you would like to contact me, I'm on Twitter at BarrowSmith59. I'm on Facebook, Vote Deborah Barros. I'm on Facebook, Friends Who Like Vote Deborah Barros. I'm on Facebook as Deborah Barros. And Deborah is Deborah. It's actually Deborah. Barros is Barros. You can Google me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on every social media there because I'm trying to get to you, the voter. And what I need is for the vote, the people in my district. If you're not registered to vote, I'll come get you registered. If you need a ride to vote, we'll get you a ride. If you are already registered and you're an active voter, then I need you to bring out 20 people And everybody come vote on November 6th. If you want to contact me by phone, my campaign number is 256-425-2345. I have an assistant. Tell her you saw this and you need a question. I will go anywhere and speak. I'll go in any church, any function. And with that being said, campaigning is grueling. We're all exhausted, but campaigning is expensive. And where a lot of people are tired of us begging, I have no shame in my game. Others, they say we need 10,000, they throw them the money. If I say I need 10,000, you want me to prove myself. And I think the fact that I'm running and with the passion, you can find me on YouTube. You can go to my website, www.vote Deborah, D-E-B-O-R-A-H, Barros, B-A-R-R-O-S.com. And if you click on the media, you'll see some of my YouTube videos. You'll see pictures. Anything you want to know about me, you can find or you can ask me, because I don't have any shame in my game. However, I need money. Right now, you can go through my website and donate. Every little bit counts. I'm trying to raise $2,000. I've had signs vandalized I need to replace, and I have other ones that I need to get. I need to get the word out there because we have approximately 50 days before November 6th. And if you all don't vote, we don't flip anything blue. We don't have a blue wave. You're going to stay right where you are. And so where the Republicans fearmonger and your president saying, oh, if they win, they're going to be in the streets violently. If we win, why would we be violent in the streets? We're not going to be violent in the streets if we don't win. So don't let their fear mongering create fear in you. What you should be afraid of is that they will take away Social Security, Medicare. They want to increase the cost of housing and or take you off. They want to remove your food stamps. They don't care about your children. With the CHIP program, having insurance, they want to take away your insurance. You know, I am we the people, you're we the people. And when I talk about insurance, I've done research with that too. And I have enough pride to say, I am on the Affordable Care Act. Praise God, because when I had an accident, I could have died, but it took care of me. And so don't be afraid to speak up. Whatever you do, don't be afraid. We need you to vote all across this country. But in District 7 here in Alabama, I need you to say, Deborah is my voice. I'm asking you to trust one more time. This time, trust me, because I'm like you. I'm part of the 40% of people in this country working every day, but don't make enough to be considered middle class. So I just ask that you trust me, put your faith in me, not more than you would put in God, but give me faith. And if you followed me, you know that I call out politicians, especially if they mamby-pamby. And if I get there and start getting mamby-pamby, then call me out, because it's two ways. I want to represent you, we the people. I'm we the people, you're we the people. My story is your story is my story. Our voices and our vote is our power. Don't be afraid and vote Deborah Barros, Alabama State Senate, District 7. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you for being here. I want to just for one moment address your viewers for just a moment. My own son was registered to vote in Alabama. He was taken off the rolls because he had moved, even though he was an active voter. So if you're an active voter and you have moved, even if you have not moved and you're in Alabama, please check that you are still registered to vote right away so that you know that you can vote for this woman this November.
And all they got to do is go to alabamavotes.gov, click on registration at the top, put your information in. It'll tell you every district for everything that you're in.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, thank you on behalf of myself and everyone in your district and all of our viewers here today. Thank you for being here, and thank you for running. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm